Welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast, where our mission is to educate and empower you to make the most informed, rational, and productive financial decisions. Hosted by certified financial planner, author, and chartered investment manager Michael Isbister, you'll go behind the scenes to uncover the tips and strategies to help you invest smarter, optimize your retirement income, and reduce the amount of tax you pay. Michael is an investment advisor with Fundamental Wealth, a trade name of Harbourfront Wealth Management, an IROC dealer. And now, here's your host, Michael Isbister.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast. In today's episode, we're going to discuss reducing retirement income risk with prudent financial planning. Specifically, I'm going to chat about how uncertainty seeps into our day-to-day lives, the importance of tuning out the noise, 2 crucial planning considerations to reduce the risk to your retirement income, how to brace for an inevitable market downturn, and lastly, as always, a few action items for you to consider. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but does it seem like the world is just a little more chaotic than times past? I can remember as a kid growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, things just seemed a lot calmer. Granted, part of that was because I didn't have any adult responsibilities. I was more concerned with catching perch at the lake and playing hockey to really care about what was going on in the world. That said, I do recall when David Suzuki told us the ozone was going away and that the world was going to end essentially. And as a boy, that really bothered me. But alas, times were simpler then. No cell phones, no 24-hour news cycle, no way to log in and watch as investments went up and down throughout the day, week, or even month. Today could not be any more different than the world we lived in 40, 20, or even 10 years ago. Things just seem a little more hectic at baseline. Almost like we're plugged into a grid that is constantly sending us information, most of which leads us to negativity, stress, and at worst, depression. And you all know exactly what I'm talking about. Click on your news app. Chances are the first headline you see may be concerning to you. Or log into Facebook and take a scroll. I bet your old friend just reposted an article that will make your skin crawl. What is the benefit of all this? How does reading this information positively impact our day in any way? Is what you're reading in your control? Can you change the outcome? In my opinion, this information overload leads to negativity, stress, arguments, and can rob you from relationships and time spent bonding and connecting with people. If you have never tried disconnecting from the noise, I highly recommend doing so. Now, all this said, when it comes to your money and retirement nest egg, I can sympathize that there can be an added layer of stress when your investments represent your retirement paycheck. And I do think it's very normal for folks who don't have a retirement plan in place to have questions, or may even feel uncertain about how current events will impact their ability to stay retired. This is where the value of a prudent retirement plan will help you rest easy at night, knowing that regardless of the next news headline or negative Facebook post you see, you're not worried about your retirement portfolio. Today, I will share with you 2 critical planning considerations to reduce the risk to your retirement income. First is understanding how you are invested and understanding your risk-adjusted rate of return. Now, I went out for lunch with another advisor a few weeks back and he made the comment, making money in the stock market is inevitable. It's how the portfolio reacts in the down market that makes all the difference. In advisor speak, this is what we call risk-adjusted rate of return. And one of the first things we review as a part of our fundamental retirement plan process is to assess if individuals are being properly compensated for the level of risk they are taking. Now, this is where adding alternative assets like options strategies, private credit, and private real estate can help to lower the downside risk in a retirement portfolio while still participating in the broader return of the market through traditional equities. While the traditional fixed income and equity portfolio has been the go-to asset mix for the last 40 plus years, a tightening credit cycle calls into question the historical low correlation between equity and fixed income. This is where diversifying across asset classes may offer value, and potentially a better risk-adjusted rate of return. To the retirement investor, it means participating in growth while mitigating the downside risk in your portfolio. Now, all this said, an investment plan on its own is not a retirement plan. Let me try to convert this to a football analogy, so stay with me as I go through this. Let's say an investment plan is like the offensive football coach. This coach draws up the fancy plays and puts them into action strategically with his team. Reading the flow of the game, this coach will modify things on the go to adapt to changes to achieve the best outcome possible, touchdowns. However, after the touchdown, the offensive coach is tasked with running the defense. And while he's proficient at helping the team get touchdowns, there's a disconnect in how to run the defense. Which, in my analogy, the defensive coach is much like the retirement income and tax plan. The defensive coach puts in safeguards and runs defensive patterns to protect the team from giving up a score, and in some cases be the reason the team wins in the first place. Now, I know this has been a cheesy analogy, but stay with me here. This is now where the head coach comes in. Through oversight and experience, the coach is able to see the big picture, both offense and defense, to see how the decisions being made on the field in the moment will impact the game's outcome. And at a moment's notice, the head coach may pivot and ask the defensive or offensive coordinator to make adjustments on the fly based on what's happening in real time. This, my friends, is a prudent retirement plan. One that is overseen by a head coach that not only monitors and adjusts the investments to achieve a strong risk-adjusted rate of return, but also integrates these decisions into a retirement income and tax plan. At our firm, we call this the fundamental retirement plan process. All right, now that takes me to the second crucial planning consideration to reduce risk to your retirement income, called bucketing. The bucketing approach focuses on your cash flow needs in retirement and gives you a different way of thinking about the components of your overall retirement portfolio and how they align with your needs. And when done properly, can help to keep a retirement investor focused on the long term while tuning out the noise during uncertainty. So in practice, what could this look like? Now, in its simplest terms, you want to have money in different buckets, like the name suggests. Let's say you have an emergency/opportunity bucket, a short-term bucket, an income bucket, and a long-term growth bucket. For the retiree, they will live primarily off the income bucket on a month-to-month basis. This bucket will complement other pensions like CPP and OAS to provide a consistent paycheck. It is this bucket that should have an underlying investment that has a strong risk-adjusted rate of return, as I discussed earlier. That said, when markets go down, this investor may still choose to shift the source of withdrawal to the short-term bucket to avoid withdrawing from investments when markets are down, helping to mitigate selling investments in a temporary loss position. This is how you can begin to coordinate a defensive strategy in your retirement plan to help further insulate your portfolio from a market drawdown. Now, when done correctly, bucketing can help with other decisions you will need to make in retirement, like when to start your pensions, how to create a sustainable income, and help to minimize tax as you enter the decumulation phase of your investing years. When I meet with pre-retiree and retirees, I tend to have the same question asked over and over again. Will we be okay? This is the purpose of the fundamental retirement plan, to answer this question. At the end of the day, it's not a matter of if the markets will go down, but when. And when they do, what's your plan? Okay, that'll do it for today. Here are your action items for today's episode. First off, I've added a free ebook in the episode description titled Retiring in Uncertain Times. I encourage you to check it out. Second, if you aren't sure if you're being properly compensated for the risk you are taking in your retirement portfolio, or are curious about what a market drawdown could look like in your current portfolio, I encourage you to reach out and start the conversation. Next, give some thought to how your overall retirement portfolio is structured. Are all of your investment accounts in a balanced fund? Where would you pivot your retirement income withdrawals to if markets went down? How would this decision impact your taxes? This is where bucketing can help you start the process. Lastly, disconnect from the news and social media apps every once in a while. Life is short. Concerning yourself about the day-to-day decisions of a political leader isn't worth your energy. Okay, so that'll do it for today's episode. Be sure to add us on all your socials, LinkedIn and Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. Be sure you're signed up for our weekly Retiring Canada newsletter. And hey, when it comes to your retirement, don't take chances. Make a plan so you can retire with confidence.
All comments are of a general nature and should not be relied upon as individual advice. The views and opinions expressed in this commentary may not necessarily reflect those of Harbourfront Wealth Management. While every attempt is made to ensure accuracy, facts and figures are not guaranteed. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing or tax advice. Please seek advice from your accountant regarding anything raised in the content of the podcast regarding your individual tax situation. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.